Mexico is a land rich in history, culture, and tradition, but beneath that vibrant surface lies a profound need, the need for the gospel. Many in Mexico have deep roots in Catholicism, following a path that they believe leads to salvation through works. Yet the true gospel declares salvation by faith alone. Recognizing this need, we are compelled to respond. I was blessed with the opportunity to grow up in a Christian home. I was saved at a young age, but it was in my college years studying business that I began to sense a desire for the people of Mexico. I didn't know what this meant or what God was doing, but it was in my senior year at Pensacola Christian College that I was faced with the question, you only have one life. What are you going to do with it? I began to sit through the church services and the chapels and hearing the preaching, and it seemed like every sermon preached was directed at me. It was then that God began to convict and convince my heart that He wanted me in full-time ministry. He confirmed this calling in my life through Bible study, and when I came across this passage, I couldn't get the words out of my mind that when Paul said, holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of Christ, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain. I have only got one life. I must make the most of it by taking the gospel to the people of Mexico.
Well, I was raised in a Christian home as well. My parents took us to church growing up. My great-grandparents were missionaries in Mexico, and they traveled from town to town preaching the gospel. It wasn't until the age of 12 that I understood that salvation is personal, and so I accepted Christ as my Savior, and soon after that, the Lord called me into full-time ministry.
Karen and I had started dating as I kind of fell in love with her, kind of fell in love with that people group, and so we're excited to be able to go back to where her family's from. Our mission is to plant churches. We want to spread the message of the good news of salvation with those who have yet to hear it, then to see lives transformed by the power of the gospel. In Mexico City, we'll join the great work that God is doing there with veteran missionaries Josue and Rebecca Ortiz at Abundant Grace Baptist Church. As we begin, we will train alongside them while I reach fluency in the language and then learn from the church planting experience that they have and the wisdom they've gained.
After serving in Mexico City, we would love to go back to the town where my parents were born and raised in, Ciudad Valles, and began planting churches there. Although my great-grandfather once ministered there, the need is still so great.
Ciudad Valles is a city of over 179,000 people. It's a dark place with a great need for healthy churches. Our vision is to see a lasting impact, a sort of ripple effect of discipleship and transformation. One of the ways we plan on building healthy churches is by eventually starting a Bible Institute where men can be educated, equipped, and trained to then go out and reproduce other healthy churches and so fulfill the Great Commission. Our dream is to see a network of local indigenous churches, each rooted in the truth of the gospel, each a shining light to the darkness around them. God hasn't called every believer to be a missionary on a foreign field, but He has called all of us to participate in missions. So whether your support be through prayer or finances or both, we'd love to be your fellow laborers in the gospel here in Mexico. We're excited to answer God's call on our lives to Mexico, knowing that the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. We only have one life. What are we going to do with it?